Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an article that is from LowHUD, which is, I guess, part of the USA Today network, according to the site. I've never really heard of them before. But this was published on December 6th. It's written by David McKay Wilson, and I'm getting a kick out of this because you have people rushing to get divorced for a tax break. They're trying to make it sound like, all right, now divorce, you shouldn't get tax breaks and benefits with getting divorced, you know, like the things that are involved with it, like alimony and stuff. You shouldn't do that. And it's funny how, like, they're freaking out about this. So, alimony deduction loss in Trump tax reform creates rush on divorce deals by New Year's Eve. Yeah. Well, let's get into this because it's actually kind of funny. You actually have divorce lawyers bitching that women are getting the money tax-free and shit like it. Yeah, it's actually kind of funny here. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself with that. Pressure is building because once the alimony deduction ends, there will be less money for the family unit overall, say divorce lawyers, which is not necessarily true. If the woman got a fucking job, you know, being equality and all this, because you never really see men get alimony. It's very rare. But if she got a job, there wouldn't be this issue with the tax write-off on alimony because she'd be supporting her own damn ass. But, you know, well, we can't bring up that fact. And no, for you people out there, I'm not MGTOW. I just believe in the fact that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I do understand where they might be coming from. I don't subscribe to it, but I understand. Oh, God. I mean, this is actually kind of funny, and that's why I wanted to cover this, because, I mean, it's just kind of like demented logic here going on. There's a rush to nail down divorce deals by New Year's Eve. After that, divorcees in 2019 will help fund tax cuts for corporate America that were enacted by the 2017 Trump tax reform, which is complete bullshit. I love this slanted bullshit. If you're paying alimony to someone, you shouldn't get a fucking tax deduction for it. I'm sorry, but which actually gives more incentive, which I think this is part of the reason why they're upset about this. Not being able to write off the alimony gives more incentive for someone who is having their ex, their spouse, you know, their soon-to-be ex-spouse. Hopefully soon. But go after them for alimony, fight it even harder because they don't get to write that off. So to them, there's not that incentive to get a tax write-off. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're upset about this. And it's to say that they're going to be financing a corporate tax break is complete horseshit because average Americans felt the difference. Hell, I got a tax break. Everyone got a tax break for the most part. But you leave that little fucking fact out because you don't want this to end for whatever fucked up reason. On January 1st, alimony will no longer be tax deductible by the spouse making those payments. Let's call it as it is. By the husband paying for his wife to live off of his dime, because overwhelmingly it's men paying alimony to their ex-wives. It's not women paying alimony to their ex-husbands. So let's be honest. There are those rare outlier cases, but they're few and far between. And you know, like I just said, it's going to drive those spouses that are having their exes go after them for it, fight tooth and nail to not pay it, because then they're not getting the tax break. At the same time, the recipient of what's called spousal maintenance will no longer declare those payments as taxable income. Yeah. Which they're trying to say, oh, there'll be less money for the family. Well, alimony that's considered an income. Okay, so that would mean that there's more money in the woman's pocket because she's not, or the spouse that's getting it. Let's be politically correct at least a little here. Yeah, right. But the spouse that's getting it is no longer being taxed on that. So that means there's more money there to go towards the family. But they leave that little tidbit out. Because, hey, you know, that was getting taxed there and then they got a tax break. Yeah. It works out. It's a wash at that point. Because you don't have the tax deduction, but you don't have them taxing that money on the other end. Which kind of makes this a non-issue. This provision will shrink the amount of money available for the split-up households because taxes will rise significantly for the spouse making the alimony payments. But the other household, the one that it's clear that you don't want to rock the boat with, is getting tax-free shit. That brings more money into their household. And on the same idea, they should never have been able to write off alimony payments in the first place. If that was never made as a tax break, then, you know, as a tax deduction, then we wouldn't have this issue. All right? Marriage is a choice. Divorce is a choice. If they choose to divorce their spouse and it requires them paying their spouse alimony to get them the fuck out of their lives, that's their choice to pay it. They shouldn't get a tax cut. That makes, or a tax, I'm having a brain fart. I just said the word too. A tax deduction. They should not get something like that. But you see, that also works into the whole child support thing. Because now you got a woman collecting, you know, spousal support, alimony. She goes after the guy for child support. That's more liquidity. That's more cash with that tax deduction. So that means they can get higher child support. Aha. See, they don't want to mention that either. It goes to show that how the divorce lawyers are set up their business. And they don't like the fact that the child support is going to be a little bit lower and that the person collecting the alimony might have to shell out a little more of their alimony money towards their end of the support on that child. Sorry to break it to you, but that's how it's going to be. The spouse receiving the payments, meanwhile, could see a windfall under the new rules because these payments will no longer be taxable on January 1st. Yeah, which, that's something you would think divorce lawyers, you know, or at least ones that tend to represent the women in it, would be very much for. And if you think about it, if there is family involved, like children, one way or another, in theory, that money should go towards the child. You know, I would at least I would think. The pressure is huge, said matrimonial attorney, said Lisa Zederman, managing partner at Miller, Zederman and Wiedeker of White Plains on Tuesday. Once the tax deduction is gone, there will be less money for the family unit. I've had emails and calls all morning from people who would like us to negotiate and set deadlines and put pressure in some way on their spouse so we can get a deal done. Yeah. Do your fucking job and get the shit done quickly. If they want it done before then, that's their fucking prerogative. But also, you're going to have the other side of it, you know, that on the receiving end of the alimony, especially if there's child support, they're going to want this done early too. That's one thing they're leaving out, because then they can go, well, by last year's by this tax return, because they'll be going into the new year with it. When they go into deal with, say, child support and shit, it looks better for them to get more money. Well, let's leave that little tidbit out. But hey, whatever. Uncertainty on January 1st. Fueling the rush to make a deal before New Year's Eve is the uncertainty left by the tax law change come January. New York State's guidelines for alimony, which were enacted by the state legislature in 2015, were based on current tax laws, with the higher income spouse, typically the husband, having his payments tax deductible. Yeah. Well, I guess New York is fucked then. If you get a divorce in New York, I don't know. I mean, see, the thing is, there's this idea that something like that should be tax deductible. This is, all right, divorce, like a marriage, is a contractual obligation. I hate to put it that way, but it is. All right. And when you have a contractual obligation, you shouldn't get tax breaks for making such said contractual obligation. It doesn't work like that in the real world in most cases. The men are going to say, I'm not paying under the guidelines, said attorney Paul Goldhammer of Kantowitz and Goldhammer and Grafman of Chestnut Ridge. In the first couple of months of 2019, there's going to be a bit of chaos. Yeah, because they're going to say, fuck you, I'm not paying alimony. I don't get a tax break, which is the driving incentive, as I said, for them to go along with it, because they're like, well, I get to write off most of the money. I'll get most of it back. It gets the bitch out of my life. Now they're going to be like, no, I want the bitch out of my life, and I ain't paying a fucking dime. And that's what really pisses off people like this ambulance chasing fuckwit. Because now they're really going to have to put up a fucking fight to get the alimony, because in most cases, like it says here, being the man, it's being a man. That man is not going to allow himself to be emasculated without, getting something in return that kind of covers his ass. Because it was almost a wash with the tax deductions. Now it isn't. So why should they feel like they should pay shit? They're going to say, fuck you. And I hope that happens, because you know what? Fucking equality. All right? The bitch wants a divorce and she wasn't working. Well, the bitch can get a divorce and get a fucking job. If it's a guy living at home, living off his wife, same fucking thing. He can go out and get a fucking job. Oh, wait. The courts tend to say that. They go, oh, wait. You're a guy. You're able-bodied. Fuck you. Doesn't matter if you raised your kids for the last 15 years. Fuck you. Go get a job. That's what tends to happen. Now it'll be equal, and the woman will more likely be told to fuck you and go get a job with this, because guys are going to be less likely to bend over and get fucked even more by their ex with a strap on, proverbially. Just saying. See, they don't want to talk about that, though. The guidelines provide leeway for judges to consider a range of factors in deciding how much the higher paid spouse will pay in alimony, including the impact of taxes on income, the marriage's duration, and the earnings potential of both parties. Yes, but you see, that's not normally the case when it comes to a man who was, a stay-at-home dad, or, live-at-home spouse, or whatever the case may be if there wasn't children involved. They tell the guy, you're an able-bodied man. It doesn't matter that she's making high six or seven figures a year. Fuck you. You ain't getting alimony. Go get a job. Now it'll be the same way the other way around. Because men will be going, well, I'm not just going to bend over and give the bitch money because I can't write off the overwhelming majority of what I'm paying out. And this fact of the taxes being considered on the impact of alimony, the impact of it on the alimony payment is a good thing, because now they'll get less alimony if they do get it. To me, this sounds like it's a win fucking win. But see, they're trying to make it sound like it's a bad thing, because this would bring about more equality in divorce courts, because you'd have men less likely to just pay off a bitch to get her out of his life, where it's overwhelmingly men who end up paying alimony. I think that's a good thing. Women want equality, then they shouldn't be able to leech off of someone else. End of story. Office of Court Administration spokesman Lucian Chelfin said that there are no plans to provide any guidance on the tax issue to judges who rule on divorce trials. As the judiciary, we follow the law, said Chelfin. It is up to the parties in matrimonial cases to negotiate the various aspects of their case, taking into account whatever changes in the law that may or may not ultimately affect the terms. So this is what's funny. You have the Office of Court Administration here, okay? And they're saying that they're not going to provide any guidance on the tax issues because basically they know that they can't say you got to do this because of the change in tax laws. So they're like, well, we're just going to keep our hands off of it and say you got to follow the law because that's the only thing they can do at this point. Even though I am sure they are having pressure put against them on how this could affect women getting paid. Just saying. I mean, it's kind of funny. And these aren't the only people that are bitching about this. We're going to be looking at another article in a video that I'm going to be recording here where the professional sports are getting all pissed about this shit too because, oh, yeah, they make millions and they ain't going to get write-offs. It's so funny. But let's get back to this article here first before I get into that one later. That could mean more work for local accountants who will be called to testify to divorce cases. We'll have no choice but to retain accountants for tax impact, said attorney Dennis Vetrano of Beacon. Well, you should have an accountant go through the books anyways, your books anyways, when it comes to a divorce. Because you want to be able to prove how much income you actually make compared to what your ex is claiming you make if they're going for alimony. You want to have every fucking penny accounted for. So to try to say, oh, well, now we're going to have to retain more accountants, you should be retaining an accountant in the first place. How a $100,000 payment would work. The federal tax treatment of alimony dates back to the early 20th century. In 1917, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that alimony payments were not tax deductible. Yeah, they shouldn't have been in the first place, and I agree with the U.S. Supreme Court in 1917. But that changed in the 1940s when IRS rules allowed spouses to deduct those payments, said Jerry Doyle, Senior Vice President of Bank of New York Mellon Wealth Management. Well, if the Supreme Court ruled that you cannot tax deduct them, then they shouldn't be tax deductible, whether the IRS says they are or not. They're an unelected bureaucratic fucking body. I think the people who ruled on the fucking law itself have more of a clue. The change approved by congressional Republicans was needed to stem the loss to the federal treasury of $1.5 trillion over 10 years. Removing the alimony deduction will save $6.7 billion, a pittance compared to almost $700 billion saved by the $10,000 cap on deductibility of state and local taxes. Now, I love that. $6.7 billion is a pittance. This is one out-of-touch motherfucker. $6.7 billion is not a pittance, even in comparison to the $1.5 trillion. Regardless, it's all a lot of fucking money. But, oh, well, it's just a piss in the bucket. Fuck you, dude. Those pisses in the bucket add up until you get a full fucking bucket. But see, you don't want to bring up that fact. You don't want to talk about that this money starts adding up. Now, do you? Because you think this is a bad thing. And we know why. Because it affects women who want equality, but want preferential treatment when they're crying that they want equality. And they're getting preferential treatment. Just not anymore. Sorry to break it to you, but the fucking free ride is over. For more than a few of them. Because their soon-to-be ex-husbands are going to go, fuck you. I ain't paying alimony because I don't get the tax deduction. And the bitch going to have to go get a job to pay your fucking fees. You sleazy attorneys. Wah. And this is funny. The stakes are high. It is not unusual for high-end Lower Hudson Valley spouses to pay from $5,000 to $15,000 a month or $60,000 to $180,000 a year in alimony. look at how the tax law would treat annual payments of $100,000 in alimony is instructive. Well, here's the thing. $5,000 a month. That's a lot of fucking money. For being a Hudson Valley fucking rich bitch wife who sits on her ass doing nothing while maids and shit clean your fucking house. You get that kind of money? Well, fuck, I was born the wrong gender and got in the wrong fucking profession. Should have been a housewife. Holy fucking shit. And then divorced the guy. They're trying to make it sound like they're suffering, that they're not going to get that kind of money. That's a lot of fucking money. Average Americans, 2-family households don't make that kind of money. For them fucking not doing a goddamn fucking thing, they think they're entitled to that kind of alimony? Are you fucking kidding me? You get further and further in this, and there's less and less sympathy for these people. Get a fucking job if you want to live like that. Let's say the spouse paying the alimony. Let's phrase that. Let's say the husband paying the alimony earns $300,000 a year and pays federal taxes of 35% on any income earned over $200,000. Under current law, he can deduct the $100,000 that he pays in alimony, which cuts his tax liability by $35,000. If a guy is making $300,000 a year, he should not be paying a third of his fucking salary to some gold-digging bitch. All right? And the same is true if a woman is making that kind of money and the husband's there. But they wouldn't give the husband that kind of fucking alimony. They'd go, you're an able-bodied man, fuck off, go get a job. This is some funny fucking shit. This really is some funny shit. Oh, God. His wife would now pay taxes on the $100,000 in alimony, but at a lower rate, with her taxes coming to just $17,000. It's a way that federal law has softened the financial blow that divorce deliver when marriage dissolves. I see all these typos and grammatical errors all the time in these like mainstream legacy outlets articles. Does anyone ever fucking proofread this shit? I mean, it would be more grammatically correct to say, it is a way that federal tax law has softened the financial blow that divorce delivers when marriages dissolve. What's the old joke about divorce? And it being worth it? Financially? Well, if they're so worried about the tax liability, stay married. That's your choices now. Stay married or deal with the fucking tax, burden. It's like, oh, well, it'd be a tax incentive for him to divorce and give alimony. Yeah, well, now they're going to fight alimony. That's that simple. The Trump tax law eliminated the tax break, so the IRS will receive $35,000 in tax from the husband and nothing from the wife. That means Uncle Sam ends up with $18,000 more. That's $18,000 less in joint income that the partners will get to split up in the divorce negotiations. What? No. That's not how it works. That is not how it works. That is, their income is not, wow. Their income is not considered a marital fucking asset. It is not looked at as part of the joint income on the way that you're looking. Because guess what? If someone is looking for alimony, they're not putting any income into the marriage, most likely. Overwhelmingly, they're probably not. So to call that joint income is completely fucked. It is not joint income. The income earner is making the money. That $18,000 came out of their pocket. See, this is what they don't want to say, though, is that $18,000 hit would be looked at, and the person would get less alimony. Translation, the woman would get less alimony. Because that 18 grand is going to be looked at as part of the tax situation and everything else. With the 35 grand in tax on the husband's end, that 35 grand, well, you now can pay this much in alimony. Now they can't do that. Now we're getting to the meat of the freaking situation here. That would mean that there's $18,000 less that they would be able to look at on getting the wife more money. Well, fucking wah. We try to create value in marital estate with the swift and taxable income from the higher earning spouse to the lower earning spouse, with the premise that there would be more money for everyone, said Mount Kisco attorney Ken Overstern. All of a sudden that's going all away. So wait a minute. What you don't like is more money for everyone. So what you're getting at is the way it was before. You could go after the husband for more money in alimony. Why don't they just say that? More money for everyone. No, you mean more money for the one going after alimony, not everyone, because the one on the other end, they just got evaluated for an even bigger hit in alimony because of the previous tax break. Now, where they're going to have that higher tax liability means that you're going to get less alimony. Be honest. Money for both. You typical fucking attorney. What's 1,000 attorneys at the bottom of the ocean? A good fucking start. I don't know who's worse, divorce attorneys or ambulance chasers. In the comments, tell me what you think is worse. The divorce attorneys or the ambulance chasers? Flip a coin if you got to. With the lower earning spouse, typically the wife, no longer having to pay income tax on alimony payments, her income would increase if the husband still paid the same amount in alimony. Yes, but see, here's the thing. With the tax break, that would be figured into the alimony. So in the end, they would really get more money. And probably end up with, paying the tax. They probably still would end up with more money if they're paying tax on alimony. Actually, no, they would. Well, they could end up with more or less. It just depends. Because was it 17% or something like that, I think it was? Is what they pay on alimony? I could be wrong, though, but it's considered taxable income. So they get more money, and you're bitching about that. Well, if they've got kids, maybe it'll go towards the fucking kids. But see, they would get a higher alimony payment, which would mean you would probably get more money because you got a higher alimony payment being an ambulance chasing sleazebag. See, and then, if the husband paid the same amount in alimony, the husband wouldn't pay the same amount in alimony because they would figure that tax break in. Oh, my God. But advocates for women doubt that will occur. They say the loss of deductibility will complicate the divorce negotiations. It could result with women receiving less than they do now because their spouses will have less to give. Or their spouses will be like, you know what, I don't get the tax break, fuck the bitch, tell her to go get a goddamn fucking job. Bitch wants equality, get a fucking job. That's what they're afraid of. That's what they're really afraid of. But see, they don't want to admit that. And even if they get less, well, if a guy's making $300,000 a year, you shouldn't be getting $100,000 of his fucking money. Shouldn't be. I mean, this is some fucked up shit. They think they're entitled to this. This is not fucking entitlement. Get a fucking job. Most courts, when it comes to a husband looking for alimony, go, you're able-bodied. Go get a fucking job. Women, I want alimony. Okay. Now they might get a little bit less. I doubt it. They don't have to pay taxes on it. Sounds like a fucking sweet little deal to me. The incentives for the Moyne spouses to be fair and generous have now been removed, said Robbie Schlaff, director of Westchester County's Office for Women. Translation: Men are more likely to say no now than before because they have no incentive to say yes, like a tax write-off. So now they're going to go, guess what, bitch? I supported your ass long enough. Get a fucking job. And you know what? I agree with that. I agree with it both ways, whether it's a husband looking for alimony or a wife. Because I don't want people to think I'm fucking sexist, because I'm not. I think it's equality all the way around. If a man can be told, go get a fucking job when he wants alimony, then a woman should be able to be told, go get a fucking job when she wants alimony. It's really that simple. It truly is. Women will be further impoverished when Carla Horton, executive director of Hope's Door, a Westchester shelter for victims of domestic abuse. Bitch, you work at a shelter for domestic abuse. That has nothing to do with divorce itself. It might be a factor in the divorce, but that's about it. You have no fucking clue, and you're just upset that women won't get the fucking payday anymore. Well, they won't get as much money, possibly. Oh, no. They're getting it tax-free. It's so fucked up. Oh, God. Norvinston suggested that the state legislature revisit the alimony guidelines when it convenes in January. Yes, because women might end up with less. Women might be told to go get a fucking job. Women might be told no. Oh, no. Can't have that. Men might actually stand up for themselves and go, well, I don't get a fucking tax break to just, toss this bitch money to get her out of my fucking life. So I might actually put up a fight now and tell her to go fuck herself and get a goddamn job. Oh, no, not that. Jesus Christ. And I'm a product of a divorced fucking family, all right? My mother walked the fuck away and didn't take shit, okay? She said, half the house is mine. That's all I want. I said, fuck you, and left. All right? So this isn't some male sexist fucking bullshit thing. This, all right, she was the primary, parent in my life, the one who had physical custody, too. This comes from being raised by her. This is coming from being raised by a woman. And this is how I see the shit. This is how she would see it if she read this article. She'd be like, tell them to go get a fucking job. They want equality, get a fucking job. That's simple. Oh, wait a minute, the bitch don't want equality. Bitch wants to go sit on her ass and make $100,000 a year because she was married to a guy for a few years. No, don't work like that. Whether it does so remains uncertain. Assembly Judiciary Committee Chairman Jeff Dinowitz, Democrat Bronx, pledged to learn more. I have not yet examined this particular issue, since this is the first time it has been brought to my attention, he said, but I will certainly take a look at it. Oh, that's just the fucking the brush off. I'm surprised they included that. That's the fucking brush off. They gave you the fucking brush off. Or he gave you. And you actually included it at the end of the article. You fucking morons. Yeah, we see, this just goes to show that you give some tax breaks. Oh, it's for the corporate America. No. And it actually benefits average people too. But it fucks over money-seeking alimony whores who are divorcing men going, I slept with him. I deserve to get a salary for that. No, bitch, you fucked him, and now you're trying to fuck him. Maybe now guys are going to stand up to you and go, you know what? I don't have the tax benefit. Fuck you. Go get a job. And you don't like that. See, this is what it's about. It's about the fact of women want equality. But this isn't about equality. This is about women losing out on a possible fucking payday. Well, they can go get a fucking job and support themselves. Just because they married some guy and lived with him for a few years, think they're entitled to that shit. Shoes on the other foot, and if it was a man in that position, he'd be told to go fuck himself and get a goddamn job. Now this might incentivize men telling women to fuck off and go get a job. when it comes to their divorces and not pay out, because it'd be like, well, fuck, I want my money for me. Guy's income is his own income. Same with the wife. They both contribute to the household. Even though a husband might, if he's the primary breadwinner, might contribute more, the marital assets are considered a 50-50 split. If she wants half the house, she wants, half the cars, half this, half that, that's one thing. But, yeah. To think that you're entitled to get fucking alimony these days when you're crying about my equality, you should go fuck yourself. Well, anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.